Afternoon or afternoon in the UK time. I'm at coming up to 4:30 p.m. We're joined by Roger Erickson, who's in a different time zone in a different part of the world. Roger, would you like to do a introduction about yourself, where you are, what time it is, and a little bit about yourself?
Sure. It's a little before 9:30 here in Utah, in the United States, where I'm living. I live in the southwest part of the country. A little bit about myself. A little over 40 years old, and been doing music for about 25 of those years. Been into the band, been into OMD since about 87, 86. Married, 3 kids and a dog, and then my full-time job is I'm a mental health clinician on an intensive care unit in a Trauma 2 hospital here in the area. So yeah, it's pretty much kind of a summation.
And you've been about on the OMD fan scene for quite a few years, so obviously you're a bit of a fan. So just
Yeah.
coming on to like OMD albums. Do you have a favorite OMD album?
I think with me it goes in stages. Like I have an early like architecture morality early period, and then we get into I'm one of those weird ones that really likes the Pacific Age, and then Sugar Tax, then English Electric was a really good one of the new ones. So kind of those 4 phases there, but probably Sugar Tax takes the lead for me because it had the most impact on me growing up.
So that's quite interesting because it's the sort of albums you mentioned are sort of 4 decades as well. So there's 40 years of OMD, and each album is put into one of those decades. On singles, Roger, obviously you've got sort of the popular, more chart success earlier singles. But do you have a favorite single?
I think it still goes back to Forever Live and Die because that was the one that was the first time I'd heard the band, and me and my brother, we were driving around in our small town, and it played on the radio, but we didn't catch who the artist was, and so it spent a pretty much like a 3-month ordeal of us waiting for the song to play on the radio again to call in to find out who the artist was. So that just sticks in my head as being, really pivotal, and also being a good memory of childhood that incurs. So I'd stick with Forever Live and Die as my favorite.
And one thing that you're quite well known for, and you've had, I'd say, quite a lot of good success, is you're the man of doing OMD covers, would you call them, rather than mixes?
Remixes, covers, yeah, along those lines over the years.
So how on earth did this come about? 'Cause I was actually having a look the other day on your YouTube channel. I see you covered Depeche Mode and a few others, but obviously you've had quite good success with the OMD covers that you've done.
Yeah, I think I played in bands for a while and was always into synth music and electronics and stuff. And the nice thing about electronic music, it kind of bridges the two worlds where I like music and I'm also a computer nerd, so it kind of brought those two together. And with OMD, I just really enjoyed the electronic sound, and I could figure it out on my keyboard kind of easy. And then probably around late 90s, I started getting into remixing. This is back in the IRC days of the internet, back when you would trade files and it would take overnight to upload a song. And I remember running into or getting to know Pat Fetty, who's quite famous, as basically like the 6th member of OMD almost at this point. But he ran a website and asked me to do a remix, I think at the time, of Genetic Engineering. And I went ahead and tried doing one that it ended up being fairly well received. And just from that point on, it's inspirational to see how the band creates music, and then to actually be able to work on official tracks for the band was even a bigger boost for me, just because I got to hear in the individual parts of the song how they put together, and it just really was enjoyable because I got to kind of add my own little twist and tweak to things. And you can't really improve on perfection, which is what they already had. So all mine is almost just another interpretation, but not anywhere near as perfect as the original.
So obviously you sort of got the official endorsement for some of your mixes. How did that come about?
So I think it was the Sister Marie Says little fan remix I'd done was circulating on the old OMD forums, and Andy had heard it and saw that there was a lot of comments about how people really liked it. And I think he emailed Pat Fetty and asked Pat for my contact information because he was interested in me doing an official remix, and reached out to me, and just kind of went from there.
So that was must have been quite exciting for you to be recognised for your work. Is there on your mixes? Because what we'll also do is I'll put a link to your YouTube channel down there in my description, so people can go and check you out. Is there any particular mix? Would you say go and have a look at this one because that's your favourite?
I don't know. I still really like the English Electric. I mean, the History of Modern Part 1 remix from English Electric, that one, because it was the first official one I did. And that was just, I was over the moon about that, just because of the fact that I was actually going to be doing an official remix for one of my heroes, one of my idols of music. And that was a huge impact. And I think that would be the one I would go with.
And have you tried to do a mix and it just has flopped? It's just not worked? Has it just completely failed in every way at all?
Many times. But those don't ever leave the studio, so no one gets to. Actually, they're probably. I think Steve Barnes is probably a person who's heard of some of my failed remixes. But just because I would send them out and ask for people's opinion. But there's many times that it doesn't get past the first verse before I abandon it. So yeah, I'm not a talented musician in that sense, but I do what I can do. So.
And how, just a question for myself, because I'm not into the techniques of music or anything, but how do you rip Andy's vocals from the tracks? Do you have some software that does that?
I don't. A lot of the time I was using just EQing, and then I would layer the vocals or layer the track from the original, and then just kind of try to isolate the vocals through EQing, getting like the mid-range where Andy's vocals sat, and then trying to drop the rest, and then bringing up the music that I added to it to be louder and more filled out to bass sound and stuff to kind of cover what was the little blips and bleeps. I could send you some like isolated vocal tracks and what sounds like. You can still hear a little bit of the music in the background, but the vocals are EQ'd to the front a lot more.
And that must, is that pretty time consuming to actually sort of do that? It sounds time consuming.
It is. A normal remix will take me 2 or 3 weeks to a month, depending on how much time I actually have to be able to sit down at the computer and keyboard and work on it. But yeah, it's time consuming, but it's enjoyable. I mean, it's a great stress reliever after work.
Yeah, I know. As I say, I know they've gone down very well with the fans, and I say I will put a link in my description down below for people to go and check out your channel and everything. Roger, sort of keep these things quite short, so we've just been going on for about 8 minutes or so, and I sort of try to throw in a silly question.
Sure.
For you. So you're over there, the other side of the pond. Have you ever heard of a chip butty?
A what?
A chip butty.
I can't say I have.
Okay, so we have a slang. So a butty is a sandwich, something on two pieces of bread. And over in the States where you are, you have, I guess you call them French fries, chips, yeah. French fries.
Yeah.
So do you have French fries sandwiches?
We don't. Not at least not one that's intentionally created by the restaurant. I know some people have put their fries on their sandwiches, but not going out of the way just to, as an original order.
Okay, we need to export chip butties to you. So you need some French fries, some bread and butter, make a sandwich and cut it in half. That's a chip butty.
Exactly. I'm going to do that. And what we really need over here is more of the English chocolate, man. You guys have the market down on that.
Isn't that bizarre? Because America's well known for bitter chocolate, where we have very sweet chocolate.
Yeah. British chocolate's ruined me to American chocolate. Marilyn Wilson, who you know as well, she sent me over a package for Christmas of British chocolates, and it's wrecked my family. We will never be able to eat anything but that. So,
have you ever had a Cadbury's cream egg?
Oh yeah, that's life changing. My favorite is the Flake or Aero bars. Those are particularly good.
Some very interesting 1970s adverts on YouTube for Flake. Go and check them out.
Okay.
Right, Roger, I'm going to go and cook myself some pizza for my tea. I don't know if you've had your breakfast or not, but can I just say a massive thank you for joining us this
Well,
afternoon or this morning?
and Neil, I always try to point out online. I think I always just thank you so much. People like you and Pat really kept the fan base going through what I call the dark years when there wasn't any OMD news or anything. And the amount of work and time you guys put into this as a project of love is nothing but less than heroic. And I really appreciate the time you've done for all of us fans.
Thank you ever so much for the kind words. Love to you and your family.
Thank
And Roger, we'll catch you on the next one.
All righty, stay safe.